Hey guys, welcome back to Witty's Gear Reviews. Real quick, let me put a little disclaimer in. Just because I'm doing this video doesn't mean I'm an expert on either one of the tools I'm about to show you. I'm going to show you, because I have them in my collection, what the differences are, and really let y'all make the decision of which one you think is superior and why. They both have different characteristics, but a lot in common. So we're going to jump right into it. First of all, I want to start off by saying, Brent, thank you so much for sending me one of these tools. We'll discuss which one that he sent into the channel. Truly appreciated. You're an awesome guy. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Now, what I want to look at today are two tools that were made around the same time, and one of them gets a lot of notoriety, and the other one, not so much. But it depends what circles you run in. So we're going to have one of the original Leatherman Waves. People today still swear this is the best multi-tool probably ever made. And don't get me wrong, I've had this one forever. I've used it a lot. I have retired it because I have found some tools that have more functions at a cheaper price, and I really don't mind tearing those up. This one's sentimental. I've had it forever. And a good friend of the channel sent me this, which is the SwissTool. Both made in around the same time frame. So the ingenuities, what was out there, how people were thinking, our companies were thinking when they decided to design multi-tools, these guys were doing it around the same time. And then there's one other company that comes to mind that was also trying to get in the mix and made decent tools early on, which would be your Gerbers, right? But these two are probably, in my opinion, towards the top of the chain. So what we're going to look at is what were they thinking back then, and what made one tool better than the other, not as good, just as good, depends on your application, depends on what you do, where you live. There's a lot of different people that this is their go-to. And I know here, this is, like the number one thing, right? The Leatherman Wave was just, at its time, at its peak, was just an outstanding tool. Still is. But we're going to look at some of the similarities and some of the differences. I'm not going to go into steels. I'm not going to go into everything. There's a million videos on, Gen 1, Gen 2, Leatherman Waves. Let the professionals tell you everything. I'm just going to show you the differences, right? One thing I can tell you right now is this tool I have used and used and used. And as we get into the implements, you'll see the wear on this tool. That's why I've retired it. I mean, it's super. But they're kind of good when they're that loose. And then we'll look at the SwissTool. What you got right now is the two tools open, exposing the pliers. Right? Right off the bat, you can already see one major difference. Size. In comparison, you're looking at about a 1/2 inch difference in the SwissTool compared to the Leatherman Wave. So the Leatherman Wave is a more compact tool. So you got to give it the Leatherman on that if you're looking for something more compact. Another thing we could point out real quick is, depending what you're using your needle nose pliers for, the Leatherman Wave has more of a traditional style, narrow point, where the SwissTool is a lot more milled, and it's super nice. I mean, that's just great craftsmanship, but a lot chunkier at the tip. Maybe not forgetting those small little details. And neither one of them have replaceable carbide cutting tips. The inner tips, this one does have the cutout for hardwire. and this one does not. Other than that, there's not a, total big difference. It does look like this area is bigger for your standard pliers. Let's see. They open up around the same, so I'd imagine you could get the standard pliers around the same diameter bolt or nut. But this is where the differences start really showing up, right? When we look to what you can access, if you were to close both of these tools, now let's look at ease of use. There's your knife, and wrong one. Your knife. Everybody thinks that Victorinox has small knives because they're the little Swiss Army knives, right? These blades are the same exact length, just a different shape. It depends what you like. This is classic. There's nothing wrong with this blade. Blade cuts as good as this blade. This blade just looks a little bit more refined and a little more modern, right? Now, I will say one thing. On this tool, you can open that blade with one hand. You cannot do that on the Swiss tool. You have to use the nail nick, and everybody knows I have no fingernails. Nail nicks are my worst enemy. So you got to give that to the Wave for having the one-handed opening on the blade. But as far as blade length, they're equal. But the locking mechanisms are different. So this one you do have the liner lock, which maybe goes something better to the, or maybe the Swiss tool takes a cake on that, because you can do this with both hands, whether you're left-handed or right-handed. But this one's a little easier because you can close it by pulling down on this. Which you don't have to pull one side or the other, right? It's locked, you pull down, you can shut it. You could do that from either side. This one, being more of a liner lock style, you have to do it from only one side of the tool. You have access to do it on both sides of that tool. Just a difference. I'm not saying one's better than the other. It's just a difference. I will say the deployment on the blade on the Wave is my preference over the nail nick. The next tool we're going to look at here is the file. We'll access the file also on the Victorinox. As far as the crosscut file, there's really not that big of a difference. Now, you'll see that this is a crosscut file on both sides. I think this is a finer and a coarse. And then you have what they're calling your metal saw on the bottom. No different than this tool. You have your teeth on the bottom, which aren't really teeth. They're there. You've got your file here, your crosscut file. But big difference on this side, and you can tell I've used out of that. Diamond carbide file. It depends what you're using the tool for. A lot of people really like the diamond carbide, but having a coarse and fine, preference. I'll kind of give it a draw there based on preference. But that's where this tool stops, right? You got what they call the saw blade on the bottom, diamond cut, crosshair, or cross. Same on this, but then you have the end, which you could use as a large flathead if you needed it. Now, that's the end of it on this side of this tool. So next thing we'll go to is the saw, which if you can sell the teeth on this, this is made to cut one direction, right? Based on the way the teeth are made, it's a pull saw, so you push forward, pull, and it cuts. Now, if you look at the saw on the SwissTool, close the blade. It's a bidirectional saw, so it's cutting forward and reverse. As far as the length, equal, about the same length. Thickness, maybe the SwissTool is a little thicker in the stock, not much. And of course, the locking mechanism. This is going to have the liner, and this is going to have the slide. Next tool we're going to look at is the serrated blade. You'll see that this has alternating serrations on there. Big, too small, big, too small. Somebody that knows more about knives would probably have to tell me if that does something different than a standard serrated blade. And then we'll look at the serrated blade on the SwissTool, which is more of a standard serrated blade. Again, same length and blade size, just more modern of a blade look, but I'm not going to say that one would outperform the other. But this looks more aggressive in the serrations than this one does. But I've heard a lot of people say the serrated blade on a Swiss Army knife is really good. Now that we've pointed that out, that's all you're going to access from the outside of this tool. The Leatherman, you have 4 tools on the outside. That's all you can access. Now you have to flip the tool open and say, for instance, you need 2 tools out of here. You're working on something and say, for instance, you're going to need the small flathead and the... Now, this is where they are so much similar, is now you have to use nail nicks to get to the inside tools. But say you had to use, you were alternating between these 2 tools. The Phillips and the small flathead. Yes, you could probably keep them both out and try to utilize it like that. No, that's not your best bet. So you're going to push that one in, and now you're just going to use this one. Right? Now I've got to close this, pull the pliers back out, shut that, go back over here, grab this back out, pull it out, and now I'm back in the action. I can tell you right now, that's got a detent. It doesn't lock. A couple of the tools lock, but I think actually all of these are detent, if I'm not mistaken. It's been so long. Yeah, they're all detent on the inside of here. None of the tools on the inside of the Leatherman Wave are going to lock. And without fingernails, I can't get into nothing. So they're all detent. Right? This tool, for one, there are no tools on the inside. All the tools are on the outside. You do not have to open this tool to access anything. You do have to close a tool to use another tool if that's your preference. But every tool on this tool locks. Which I think if I'm really screwing into something at an angle, at an awkward position, I can promise you from experience, I have had that fold on me. And where's it fold? To your hands. If you're really screwing on something and that folds, you're pinching your finger. I have done it, but at the time, a lot of multi-tools were like that, and yeah, it's not the right tool for the job if you're really getting into something. But if it's all you had, you got to keep that in mind when you use this tool. This one, they all lock. So we're going to pull all the tools out so we can kind of look at what the differences are in what we have here. Where do they both align and where are they both different? I know one thing that some probably would have already seen, or whoever has a SwissTool will know what a lot of people say is the downfall of this tool. And for some, it's a deal breaker. All right, that's all your tools exposed on that one. We're going to expose all the tools on this one. And then we'll look at the differences. Like I said, I have no fingernails, so gotta love it. And you know, they actually make a tool for people with no fingernails to get in the Swiss Army knives or nail nicks. Okay, so over here, and you can see it's been on plenty of camping trips. She's well used. This isn't a showpiece. It's retired now, but this tool's been used a lot. So we got our can opener. Over here, we've got a can opener. We got a large flathead. Well, we've got several large flatheads. We got this one we could choose from. We got this one. We got that one. So this is a can opener / bottle opener. Here you have a bottle opener and a can opener. Not that they can't be one tool. You got your Phillips head. You got your Phillips head. You've got a smaller flathead, which could probably be used for more of a pry tool. And you have that here as well. That is more of a pry tool or scraper. So kind of the same there. You've got your super small flathead, which you have here as well. And then a medium size, which I don't know if this one has actually like a medium sized. Alright, so if you had something smaller, you'd probably need to use this one. But you have several different flat edges you can use on this tool. But again, this is what a lot of people would say is the deal breaker. The Leatherman Wave has scissors. SwissTool, no scissors. All of the other tools align. This tool does not have an awl. So if that's your thing, you're going to get that here. This tool does not have, or well, it has one. It's hard to see with this all open, but you do have your wire stripper here. And this one has two located here. So that's the differences between the tools, guys. I'll point out one other thing, and these are able to close because I didn't have them all the way out. Right? If you don't lock it in, you can close them. That's why I left them partially open. The knife, pull that back out. That is locked. Pull that. Now I can close it. Let's go back and just look at the Phillips screwdriver because it might mean something to somebody. Depending how you want to use it here, if you got to close it all up, whatever. Just lining the tools up, you have a lot bigger reach. I do like the way that they try to bring this more back to center by curving it in, where this one is on the outside of the tool, so it's on the outer edge, so it's It's a little off center. They did try to bring this tool back more center, towards the center of this, instead of to the outside of the tool. I get that. Now, if you're using it in this configuration, it's not going to close and get your fingers because it's going to hit the tool. It only will do that if you're trying to use it with the tool open. But that's the major differences between the tools. So that's what you got. Bigger tool, heavier tool. I will tell you that there is a weight difference. That's one thing I didn't bring up. We can look at it real quick because some people may, that might also be a factor if you're looking for something light. We'll set this down. We'll put it on. Let's see. Put it on ounces. 7.7 ounces. 9.8. But bigger tool. Not a lot. This is wider. A wider tool. This is just a longer tool. So, pretty good size difference in weight if you're looking at ounces. 9.8 against 7.7. A little bit bigger, longer in length. And now, talking about that leads me to one more thing. There is no measurement on this tool for measuring on the outside. This one, if you open it up and line up the backs, you have a 9-inch ruler. This one, you get up to almost, I would say about 23 centimeters. So you do have a measuring device on that tool. So that's just something else. Anyways, guys, what do y'all think? I know that most people, Leatherman takes the cake. But a lot of people like the SwissTool. Ease of convenience. Got all my tools on the outside. Ain't really got to worry about it. What do y'all think? Let me know in the comments which one you prefer. They're both great tools. They both have probably had many, many years of use. And I can tell you personally, as the owner of this one, its whole life, it has been a great tool. This one had come into my possession not too long ago. Again, Brent, thank you so much for sending this into the channel so we could do a review on it. Little head-to-head up against the Leatherman Wave. You don't know how much it means to me that you sent this. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. But that's the two tools, guys. Let us know in the comments which one takes the cake. Or are you like me? They both have their use. They're both great tools. And really, to be honest, I would be honored to have any one of them in my bag. That's all we got, guys. 3 ways to support the channel. You got memberships, Witty's Gear, buy me a coffee. If you want to help us out, that's a good way. Love y'all. Like, share, subscribe. Click all those notifications. Give us a thumbs up. See you on the next one.